Good evening again, everyone. We are just waiting on a quorum.
Okay, I think we did get responses from other. Okay, there is Anissa.
Yes, everyone, Anissa, Allison.
And Sherry said they were attending. Yeah.
Yes. Waiting on, I believe, Sharifa. And Allison, I believe. Allison's.
Yeah, and Allison. Yeah. Okay.
We're just waiting on one other to join us, and we can get started.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all. And thanks for your patience as we wait to get this started. Thanks for joining today's board meeting on December 1st, 2022. This public meeting of the Hope Community Public Charter School Board is now called to order.
Carrie, we're still waiting on Sherry. I don't see her on.
She's not here? Oh.
No, not yet. We need a quorum.
Okay, she said she was joining. Okay.
Here she comes.
Okay, all right, so let's do this again. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining today's board meeting on December 1st, 2022. This public meeting of the Hope Community Public Charter School Board is now called to order. We will now call the roll to determine if we have quorum. Anissa Bailey. Here. Sharifa Phalen.
Here.
Allison Barr.
Here.
And Carrie Smith, I'm here, and Neha Patel, I think, is absent today. A quorum has been determined, and we will now proceed with the business portion of the meeting. We have an agenda to review. I would like to ask for a motion to approve today's agenda.
Hi, this is
Discussion.
Denise. I move to approve the agenda for today, Thursday, December 1st, 2022.
I have someone to second the motion.
This is Allison, I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any nays or abstentions? No, then the agenda is approved. Board members, we also have the board minutes to review. Are there any corrections based on your review? No, I just have one thing. We're supposed to get an update from Nick Fennell, the Dean of Culture and Climate. If we could move that to January, that would be great.
Yes, I'm sorry. That has been tabled until January. Nick is out for the next few days.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, may I have a motion to approve the minutes from the October 20th, 2022 meeting?
This is Allison. I'll move to approve the minutes from the Thursday, October 2022 meeting.
Thank you. May I have someone to second?
This is Anissa. I second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays or abstentions? No. Great. So the minutes we approved will be online. Minutes from this meeting will be approved at our January meeting. And the recording of today's meeting will be available 24 to 48 hours after the close of the meeting. And these actions are based on the Open Meetings Act. So today we will hear updates from PLA and Hope on the progress of the school. And we have first up the CMO report financial update.
We had a slight scheduling conflict, so Eva's not on yet. We're gonna, if we don't mind, jumping to academic support update, and then Eva will be on to join us soon.
Okay, that's fine.
Melissa, you have co-host rights if you want to share.
Oh, Melissa, we can't hear you.
My apologies. Wow, you should have heard that. It sounded so great. No. I wanted to start off by introducing our newest principal, Mr. Clifford Owens. I do have his bio here, but he is here with us today. So I wanted to give him the opportunity to introduce himself and just tell you a little bit about his educational journey and how he arrived with us here at Hope.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing this evening?
Doing great.
Good.
That is awesome. Well, you guys know my name. I have over 30 plus years experience in education. I worked in urban setting. I worked in alternative school setting, junior high school, middle school, elementary school, pre-K through 8 schools. I've worked in several states as a transformation principal, and I've been blessed to be successful in turning schools around. I took a school in Southeast DC and from a tier 3 school to a tier 1 school in less than 18 months. Prior to that, I was in Delaware, and within 4 years, we were a national blue-ribbon school when we were the worst school, had the worst scores in the state of Delaware, ended up being a national blue-ribbon school. Prior to that, I was in North Carolina, had the worst test scores in the state, and we ended up having, under my school district, we ended up having the best test scores in the state of North Carolina. I presented several national conferences, ASCD, on at that time it was called project-based learning, which is expeditional learning that it's called today. And it's been a blessing, and I'm just excited to be leader in charge of Hope Towson Community Charter School.
Welcome, Mr. Owens.
Thank you.
Awesome. And then next up, we have our Hope Tolson dashboard. And I know we have some new board members joining us tonight, so I'll make sure to get this shared out to everyone. This dashboard just lists some different metrics that you will be updated on a monthly basis. Now, we haven't updated for December yet. Today's December 1st, so we'll get that updated and we'll have it for the next board meeting. So we're always kind of a month behind, so to speak, because it starts at the first of the month. But our first tab over here on the left, Hope Metrics, we have 3 different pieces that we try to look at and monitor regularly. Our first one is enrollment. I actually think we're at 206, but listed on here on November 1st, we're at 207. Our current persistence, and this is the percentage of students that started with this and have stayed with us throughout the entire, until to date, the entire school year. So we are at 91% there. And then also our average daily attendance, which is at 71%. If you look at the next 2 tabs, I think they're 21, 22 and NWA data is on here. And I think it's important, especially as you see me push out reports. So you can go back and be, okay, now how did that compare before? I always try to do a comparison on the report. But a couple of things I want to even note tonight, because we'll talk a little bit about NWA data, is when I share the data, when you look at the fall of last year, the percentage of scholars that tested, we're going to talk about some of the outcomes and how we did see even throughout the year, there was kind of a drastic dip and change in scores. But part of that we feel is because we didn't have a large number of our scholars tested. If you remember, we actually closed at the beginning of the school year and went virtual, and testing virtually is not very easy. And so we know why it happened, but I just wanted to point that out. So as you come, 90s and 80s for the rest of the school year. So we have our data reports from this last school year, 32, 19, and 25. So we landed at 25 for language arts and 18% for mathematics. Down here at the bottom, these are the percentage of students in each category, fall to winter and fall to spring, that met their growth goals. Now, this isn't proficiency. This isn't that they are at grade level, but NWA establishes a growth goal. Scholars that are behind, really, we need them to grow more than a year to be able to start closing gaps. So even if they're 2 years behind, we're not saying they need to grow 2 years, but they do need to grow more than 1 year to be able to close the achievement gap. So they have a growth goal that NWA, the actual assessment, generates, and we know by the end of the year, this is where we need our scholars to be if we hope to, in the future, close the achievement gap. So these are the percentages, fall to winter and then fall to spring. So 28% of our scholars at the end of the year met their language arts growth goal, and 44% of our scholars met their mathematics growth goal. If you move to the next tab, we really don't have any of those beautiful boxes yet. Our NWA testing window is coming up in January. We did have a much higher percentage, 86 and 84 this year, and we're at 26% in language arts and 21% in math. So this will populate after January. So as the data comes in, you'll start to see this begin to populate. Now, one of the things the board asked, and I almost kind of just need your feedback as well, was demographic data. One thing that's interesting in our DC school is a lot of parents, when we come in, will not list the race of their child, which is absolutely appropriate, but it really throws off our data when we look at different demographics. So you don't really, it's hard to read. So we do have different demographics listed here, but it isn't as easy as we would like it to be able to read which category for each of these areas. We have Black, Hispanic, Indigenous, undetermined, and white. So when you look at the different pieces, it isn't as easy to read as we would quite hope. But there is a breakdown here as well, because I know that was something that was important to our board, was to be able to show that breakdown. And that was 21, 22, same thing. So we'll have 22, 23. And this is something I can keep or we can remove. So totally your call. This looks a lot more clean because we only have one testing window at this point. So I wanted any questions on this. And like I said, I'm going to share this with you. You'll have access to these tabs. You can play around. You can access it at any time. Okay. Before I jump to my report, one of the things I will mention is, because I'm going to talk about NWA, just remembering that this fall score last year, we had 68 and 71% of our scholars that were tested, because we are going to talk a little bit about looking at a year review. As we have schools with us, we'll look fall. So multiple years of time, we want to see our kids coming in higher, or where are they falling. So as we look at the 2-year review in reading from fall last year to fall this year, we did have a drop. I know the percentages were lower, but I'm not quite sure how valid the data is, just because we had the scores in the 60s as far as the amount of scholars that were tested. So we had 60% of the scholars that tested last fall that received that 32.3% passing. Fall to fall for math, we did increase 4.8 with the same thing. I mean, full transparency, we didn't have great participation numbers in the fall last year, but we are at 20.9. So I really feel like the spring to fall is definitely more valid. So when we look at where we are, where did we end up last school year and where did we start this school year? We did have a slight increase in reading and we had a 3.3 increase in math. So that's exciting because it's not uncommon, honestly, from spring to fall to have a dip. We have that summer learning loss. We did have summer advantage. So we did have many scholars, I feel like, engaged over the summer. And so hopefully that kind of helped to keep that ball rolling. Now, again, down here, just a kind of an overview of those data. You can see the data pieces. Fall last year, 32.3 and 16.1 in the fall. Moving here to the winter, more accurate, probably rating 19.2 and I think it says 15.2. Then we increased to 25.1 and 17.6, but then we ended the year at 25.6 and 20.9. So just wanted to be able to share that with you, but also the dashboard, I think, is another piece that really complements these type of reports. Any questions on this data?
One question, when you kind of break some of this data out by grade, are there grades that stand out either on the high end of this scale in terms of, are they an outlier, sort of pushing that, and the same question kind of on the bottom end of the scores?
Absolutely. And interestingly enough, so you think about the pandemic and how it's impacted us, I really felt like 3rd grade would have had a greater issue, which it didn't. So actually, if you go back over here, one of the beautiful things about, let's go here. One of the beautiful things about this is you can actually select by grade level. Now, this doesn't change as far as who was tested, but you can see the percentages for each grade level. So for example, 8th grade, it was 20 and 19. For 7th grade, 24 and 18, but 5th grade, yes, 5th grade is a place, even though the dots still look high, it's not, it's because the chart adjusted. It's 12 and 6. 5th grade is definitely an area that we are struggling. So there are definitely points when we look through what we need to do. However, we have math and reading intervention that should be supporting all grade levels. But there is definitely, we see right there in that specific area, 5th grade is an area that we definitely need to focus. But again, as you have this, I think it is powerful. Like you said, you can work around and see kind of how things, I will say oftentimes, go here. Some of our 4th grade struggle or they over assistance on some of the things. So some of these, I always think, yes, it's important and it's valid. I don't mean that, but also I think as we get through the school year, some of our lower grades I feel like have more valid scores because we got our little people on computers, you know what I mean, trying to take a test, and sometimes people tend to overestimate. So I'm just being transparent there. But this looks pretty common. But 5th grade is definitely an area we need to focus.
Do we have targets that we're working towards every year, or in order to better the numbers? Yes. And how have we pivoted? Absolutely. In terms of curriculum or professional development? How are we pivoting to address some of the areas that aren't strong, or some of the grades aren't strong?
Mm-hmm. So we have so one of the things with NWEA that we love is we have a program that complements it as well. It's called Edgenuity. And so when in NWEA, you're put basically on a strand, so to speak. It has kind of the overview of areas that you need support, and then that program adjusts to each child. So we have that piece. The same for math. So last year we had Zern for math as well, and we kind of talked about Eureka Math. I feel like prior to Eureka, there wasn't really a solid expectation around a math curriculum at the school. So we put that in place, and then we also allowed Zern, which is the tiered complementary program to that as well, so students can work independently at their level. And then also our interventionists, get a report from Zern, and then they have math manipulatives that they pull and do lessons that are really geared towards those pieces. And then the same for reading. So we have math or reading interventionists also that really can meet with, ideally at a full group, can meet with 12 kids in every classroom every day. And so we're having those reading intervention pieces with level literacy instruction, which is through Fontes and Pinnell. And then we also have our core reading curriculum. So we have a lot of components, tiered components that are not just a, hey, I'm going to grab something, but are that truly, if we're doing our core curriculum with fidelity, they complement that curriculum and tier down to where scholars can get the support they need to be successful. And we're leveraging, we have, you know, Math Advantage is new this year. So we're leveraging that Math Advantage team too, to be able to support. So we do have a lot of programs that align that we should see right here. You asked about goals. Our most important goal, I mean, we want to see proficiency, but we have looked at the research. NWA agrees we are looking for 60% of our scholars to meet their growth goals. So when we look back, let's go back here really quickly. Where were we? Oh, we don't have our growth goals. I'm so sorry. We'll get our growth goals at to see what percentage of scholars met their growth goals at middle of the year, because they just were developed at the end of the year. But if we look back to last year, 44% of our scholars in math and 28% of our scholars in reading met those growth goals. But we shoot for 60%. We're working towards it. I think math is a little more concrete, and I don't want to say easier to achieve. Math is difficult for, you know, many children, but it is a little more cut and dry. That the art of reading and with the pandemic has been more challenging. In my opinion, to be able to make some of those gains, because we have those gaps that are so excessive. And we know that kids haven't been in school like they traditionally had been. So
if only Roblox had a reading game, it would be helpful. But
that's right. You're absolutely right. Roblox. Yes, you're absolutely right. So we do have a lot of different things in place, and I know even with Mr. Owens there, and when you met Joshua the last school board meeting, Christian, our instructional specialist, he's been doing a lot of coaching with teachers, coming in, providing feedback, even looking at, as we, you know, continue to do a program with fidelity. I think that's really has been a core piece, because there's been some pieces that we kind of see they're missing that we're just tightening up on and making sure that we're able to provide that curriculum with fidelity. So we've got some good support systems, and I feel like we're definitely now, you know, steering the right direction.
Can you remind me, when did we start using Eureka Math?
Last year.
Last year. Okay.
Yep. Eureka Math last year, Math Advantage this year. So the tiered component to it. They did have access to Zern last year. I will say our Hope School, because we actually, I mean, we know the power of Zern, so to speak, and so we have it across multiple schools in our network. But Hope had it last year as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
are you doing any school-wide programs, like, you know, just outside of the schoolwork and the Zern and the interventionists? You know, I know sometimes grades or schools would do like a reading challenge, 100-book reading challenge, or other things are school-wide to kind of encourage some of the behaviors that we need students to have.
We do have different incentives for behaviors, but you're right. I mean, I think especially as we have NWA, I think that would be a great thing. And I know Clifford's on here to talk about what kind of incentives could we put in place for kids that meet their, you know, their math goal in NWA, or their reading goal, or like you said, even reading books, because we would like our kids to be read to every night. But I think that's a great idea. To be honest with you, there may be something, and I may be not aware of it, because Ms. Dianca Tobias is amazing and is always putting little things together and out there to get kids excited and get teachers excited about things. But I may not be aware of it. So if there is something, if there's anyone on, I don't believe, I know Clifford's on, he may not be aware of it, but we can definitely look into that. I think that would be a great idea.
Well, one of the things that I met with the admin team is what we're going to employ. We're looking at putting up some data walls, because and have our teachers conferencing with each scholar, because they need to be a part of the process, so they can buy into the process and know where they need to be. So you're here, but you need to get here when it takes to get there, and it's going to be very competitive by grade band and classroom, which for the monthly, who has the best which kids raise their scores up per month. Looking at Edulastic as well as CERN and see where they are. And I think that good healthy competition will also help get the kids excited about it, get them involved, and maybe we can see some growth there.
And I will share too, we have what we call common formative assessments, we call them CFAs. We have those designed for close reading, which is a strategy we use with students. And it's specifically, this close reading program is specifically designed to identify main ideas and do extended responses based on main idea, because we know that those two components are one area that we know our scholars are lacking. So we do a common formative assessment, a CFA, bi-weekly, or not bi-weekly, every other week, to make sure, just to take the temperature, see where they are. It's not for a grade, but our goal is to get as close to everyone being proficient in that, and move towards that proficiency, because we know that analyzing text is very difficult. That starts at 3rd grade. And then we also do common formative assessments on foundational skills every other week. Actually, I would say once a month, K through 2. So once a month, foundational skills on reading, basic letter sounds, letter names, CBC words, things like that. And then we also do the same thing for math. So twice a month. So, every other week, or, they're having an assessment just once a month, it's reading, and once a month it's math. So we're constantly ensuring that we, know where our scholars are, where to go next. And I know that Josh has been working really hard to make sure that we're taking that data in and now making sure we have a clear path for scholars to move forward.
Okay.
We have some.
Any other questions?
I'm trying to see where that's coming from. Oh, there we go. All right. Well, as I mentioned, especially I know we have new board members joining us, I'll send the link to the Hope Tulsa dashboard so you have access to those items. And feel free to kind of play with it. So I think it is kind of neat to go in, look at it by grade, break down the data, and have that, you'll have access to that at all times.
Thank you for that. That'll be great.
Yeah, not a problem. My next 2 items are short and sweet. I just wanted to share some of the things we're doing to continuously improve at Hope Tulsa. Some of our powerful practices. We're always going in and we're doing what we call coaching cycles. We look at different domains. For example, domain 1 is we're looking at classroom culture and classroom management. So every month we go in, we look at a different domain. We provide feedback on that domain, and it's non-evaluative. So it's coaching, right? And then teachers that need more support, we go in more frequently, like every other week or every week if we this is a situation we really need to provide a lot of support. Or, they get the one, they go in the one time, they show proficiency, and then we just move to the next domain the following month to see how they're doing with classroom engagement or whatever it may be. So that's constantly going on. The entire leadership team is going in and doing coaching observations. Middle of the year evaluations are starting between really now and January, and that's all staff, all leadership staff, all staff members are being evaluated for middle of the year. And then also I wanted to highlight our training team. Sometimes they're so behind the scenes that people don't know that we have this amazing team of people that come in and provide PDs. Specifically, here they are, Lisa Garza, Charmaine Jennings, and Meekwa Chapman. So for the focus of this month, November, December, we have these different items that principals can choose from, our instructional specialists can have conversations about, where these people will either do a virtual PD, they'll even come out to the campus. They also are there for anything. So if there's anything that we feel like our team needs, they will go and create whatever it is we need for our training and come in and provide it to our team. So I just wanted to highlight them because, like I said, they're behind the scenes and we don't always get to see the people that are always coming in and providing that additional support to our school. So any questions on the training team? All right. Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, Christina, can you put the agenda back up? And I have asked, we actually, board, we have 2 meetings going on simultaneously. So I have one on my phone and one on my computer. And Eva, I just asked that she jump over to the Hope meeting to do the financials. So if we can pause for a minute, or is this a really quick report that you can do while we're waiting for her to join? That would be great.
It's really quick, Sherry. I can go ahead
Okay.
and go. Okay,
Awesome.
so hello everyone. This is Tahira Thompson. Sorry, I'm mobile, so I needed to be off camera today. This first chart is showing the capacity of the rooms in the classrooms and also the offices. So the first floor has 11 rooms for a total capacity of 250 students if all of the rooms are used as classrooms and 4 offices. The second floor has 15 rooms for a total capacity of 365 students, once again, if all rooms are used as classrooms, and 6 offices. The first floor also has the library space, and if used as a classroom, it would house an additional 30 students for a total of 27 rooms, 645 students if all are used as classrooms, and 10 offices. Next page. The next 2 pages that are in the report show a chart of how each room and office is currently being used for the current school year. And then the last 2 pages are a visual map graph of how the classrooms are being used for this current school year. So there's plenty of room to expand as we continue to improve and increase enrollment. Are there any questions?
Okay, this seems kind of random, but so you're just letting us know that there's room for more people?
Yeah, I was asked to provide an overview of the capacity. I don't know what the additional thoughts were around that originally, but wanted to make sure that you guys had the full capacity. And I believe that Tiffany is going to speak to enrollment following this discussion
Okay,
or this overview.
okay. All right, here's Eva. Thank you, Tahira.
You're welcome.
All right, Eva, you are up. Thank you.
Absolutely. Hold on, I'm going to switch to a larger view. So the piece that I am reviewing is really what is included here is the proposed amended budget based on where we are currently, and noted on this summary sheet are the key pieces. We know the largest is the enrollment change from 273 to 203 official count day students. That of course lowers the enrollment, so then we need to look to right size expenses to align. Many of the expenses are fixed. We know we can't change facilities, utilities, all of those. So then we look to those expenses that are variable. The largest is, of course, staff. And so that's where most of the reductions or the changes were. And these were primarily through attrition. So as there were position changes, we did not backfill, and that was 7 FTEs. And then also looked if we could continue without persistent vacancies, which were 1, 2, 3 consistent vacancies, so did not backfill those either. So that takes us to 10 FTEs that we were able to back down through attrition to help us solve that gap. Then we move to any other variable expenses that we have better visibility on. This now, is 3 months into the year, 4 months, anywhere else we could bring anything down, as well as pieces that automatically change with the enrollment change. So we know food service, the admin fee, the management fees, they are all directly related to enrollment, so they come down as well. So that brings us to where we are now based on current expenses, current roster, to have a deficit of approximately 235K. So that's a 300K change from where we were, because we had a $100,000 surplus. And we're going to continue to chip away at that without impacting the experience for scholars and staff. So anywhere that every expense is really evaluated as, is it the best use of funds at this point in time? So then we continue to see if there's any ways to close that gap. So that's really the overview. The bottom line net income projected for the year at the enrollment of 203, based on current roster, is a deficit of 225 that we will continue to work towards closing, and that leaves the school with an ending cash balance of 3.45 million, the equivalent of 158 days cash. So still strong on the cash side, but let me stop there for questions.
My question is on the the FTEs. Are these particularly teachers in particular? On what kinds of positions? And then how are we adjusting in the school? Because I'm pretty sure we still have pre-K straight to 8th. There's, maybe that's not the question for you, Eva, but
I can start it and then Melissa can jump in there. And this was really, every open position that came up, it's then a conversation with the school leadership. Melissa, do we need to backfill this to make sure that we are providing the services that scholars need? So I think most of it was really the way students aligned once we had the final count versus the original 273. Obviously, there were extra staff there. Melissa, let me know if I captured that reasonably correctly.
Sorry, I was on mute again. There was a couple situations that based on our enrollment that we did not need to backfill, so absolutely. You captured it very well.
okay.
And I don't have a question, but just, a comment. This is something the finance committee's talked about, I think the last 2 meetings maybe. So I think the important highlights here are at least these revisions or the amended budget has at the moment no impact on the academic programming, which I think was really important to make sure we were not touching that there were other ways to kind of look at how the reduced enrollment was impacting other expenses. So I think that's really important to note. And then, just a conversation about, I'm glad to hear we're getting an enrollment update later on in the meeting, because that's obviously, as we look towards next year, understanding really where we are as a school in terms of our enrollment and what to expect. And, we had pretty high expectations this year. We want to meet them, but there's also a kind of honest of how big is the school and how do we have to then think about budgeting for years out.
Okay, I think I know we've talked about that, enrollment number at the finance committee meetings, but I think it's something we need to keep revisiting to see so we can land in the right place. And I know, Mr. Owings, I know you're fairly new, you recently started, but I would like to get some input from you at some point of time about your thoughts on enrollment and what we can do differently going forward. Not right now, but at a later date. I'd like to get some input from you as well.
I mean, I can give you some input now if you like.
Oh, sure.
Well, I mean, I looked at, went in the community. I'm very familiar with the community. I don't know if you were aware that Ward 5 has the most schools than any district in the District of Columbia. So I also contacted some of my peers. We're all in the same predicament. We're scratching, fighting, and clawing, trying to steal scholars from one another. So I was looking at what can we do differently. I did make a proposal. I know it should be a grant should be coming up in the following year. What I want to do, and this is was to have a STEM or STEAM program. Checking with all the other schools within our ward that I think that would set us apart. And we can do stuff like coding and robotics, things of that nature. That's one that was one idea. The other idea is that I want this open enrollment goes, I think we need to go door to door. I already talked to Mr. Ray and a couple other folks in the buildings that we can go door to door and start putting out some flyers, talk to some families. I think we have those more intimate conversations versus, I mean, we also gonna do our media blast as well, but we need to do some things of that nature to try to sell our school and talk about what we're doing as well as, and as I said, everyone should have a good, I told my teachers at that staff meeting that everyone should have a good 4-minute elevator speech to say something positive about our school. Also putting the things on our web page, the things that we're doing every month, of things. So we really have to really sell our school. So, so that's a little bit more than what we have been doing. And with small community talks, start doing a lot of community events within the school, inviting the parents. We're starting a PTO now, and first meeting's supposed to be today, but we had to kind of cancel because of the board meeting, so we're having another day. But we're chugging along. We're brainstorming, trying to get a few ideas that we can do to increase the enrollment.
Sounds good. I follow you on social media, so I did see the PTO notice go out, and I see Mr. Bias is hard at work on. We had talked about building the social media presence and managing that well, and actually sharing the experiences at the school, and that seems to be a much more active. So that's positive.
And Mr. Bias and I, we meet daily and we talk about that. So she's doing a marvelous job. So I always try to give people their kudos and that she's doing. So and she's very enthusiastic and passionate about what she does.
Yeah.
And if I can throw something in too, we actually, Clifford and I were both at the Chat and Chew. We had a Chat and Chew right before Thanksgiving, and Clifford got a chance to talk with all the parents that came in, and some of the feedback there too was that families want to come back to this, like we want to have events at the school, families want to be in the building. So I know that some of them we're working on even just making sure families have background checks and how to assist them with that. So and it was a really positive event. A lot of families that have been there, they have their pre-K in there now, and their 8th grader just left. So that was probably one of our, actually tried to recruit them to come to the school board. We always need great people, but it was a good event, and it had some great information that we got from that about what families are wanting from the school.
Nice. That's good. What's next? The enrollment plan? Is that a separate presentation?
Yeah, hi, good evening. My name is Javi Dimas. I'm the VP of Enrollment, and I believe my colleague Tiffany Walters is also present.
I am.
Yep, so we're gonna walk you through this table, these numbers. We have been working with Ms. Tobias, our SUC at Hope, and our goal for the 23-24 school year is to aim for 250 students. So you'll see that as our target. I'll quickly walk you through the numbers. The current actual enrollment is 206. So when we built this table, it was 208. I believe we had 2 kinder students withdraw since we built this table. But one of the things we want to leverage is student persistence. We know that in a perfect scenario, we would retain 100% of our students, but we know that's not the case. Life happens, and therefore we have a goal of retaining 90% or more of our current population. If that holds true, the 90% or higher, we would have 163 scholars rolling into the 23-24 school year with the goal of obtaining 87 new students. And you can see the breakdown of how those 87 students break down by grades. So if that 250 of the 163 plus 87, that gets us to 250, that is a pretty aggressive, smart growth goal of 20%, which would be significant for Hope, given some of the challenges that Mr. Owens and we actually talked about at our previous board meeting with Ward 5. So one of the things that we are very confident in is our strategy and tactics that we've already set in motion, really looking at data visibility, the recruitment culture, and the adults getting it right. One of the things that we have asked Hope to do is to do a lot more events that are focused towards student persistence and also new student enrollment. I believe Tiffany can mention some of the things that Ms. Tobias is doing, I believe this weekend as well. So I'll
Yes.
let you go.
Yes, so you all have already mentioned several of the things between Melissa and Mr. Owens, but Ms. Tobias just released her open campus days. So she will be having 4 open house events that are coming between the months of December and January. The first one, I believe, is going to be virtual, but there will be 3 in-person open house events that she has already planned. Speaking to the elevator pitch and the elevator speech, the teachers there at Hope do not have to reinvent the wheel, because Ms. Tobias has already created that when we had our enrollment kickoff events. We had that enrollment kickoff back in October, and all of our student enrollment coordinators across the system had an opportunity to get 2 days worth of training, 2 days worth of invigorating and insightful information to help them do a lot of these things that we're talking about that we need. So Ms. Tobias already has an elevator pitch, not only for the school, but an elevator speech or pitch relative to her doing outreach in the community. She also has created a virtual tour or a campus tour for Hope as well. So we have access or within our network, everyone has access to these, to an enrollment kickoff folder where you can see these things. So Ms. Tobias will be sharing that information, of course, with Mr. Owens, who she already works with. And I will say, Mr. Owens, thank you so much for joining our team. Ms. Tobias is so excited to have you on the team. But we also believe that having his structured leadership in place at Hope, that is going to generate and really stabilize our enrollment growth. And I think that that is part of the challenge for why we have these highs and lows as it pertains to enrollment, because Hope for some time lacked, I would say stable, they lack that stability. And so with Mr. Owens being there with his wealth of knowledge and information and his background, we truly believe that that we will be able to sustain and be able to get to this enrollment number.
So you guys are still hard at work on the plan, because I think I'm sorry, I have brain fog. The DC enrollment process, my school DC, that's about to get kicked off for the new school year. So, okay, all right.
Yes.
Yeah,
We're
EdFest.
ready for that.
Yep, EdFest is happening. It's a virtual event, and we're participating on that as well.
Okay.
Correct.
It's
As well
December
as
10th.
Ms. Tobias is, she actually has decided to be a part of, they have like an advisory board or something with the organization that manages the My School DC. So, and she decided to volunteer her services on that advisory board to kind of put Hope's name out there, but also to get a lot of the firsthand information and firsthand knowledge as to what's to come. So I think her putting herself out there, also helps the overall vision of Hope.
Okay, so we're looking for new students. We need people to re-enroll.
Correct.
Right? And
Correct.
so, I think I've mentioned this before. I think I'd asked for some targeted information on the 6th, 7th, 8th grade. One of the reasons parents stay is because, where does my 8th grader go to high school? And I think I'd asked for information on where did our 8th graders go from last year? I have no idea as yet. It's been a year now.
Okay.
Well, a semester there in high school. Like there's that component that I also want to see, because that's one of how parents make decisions as well. Where does my kid go for high school? And is there anything going on at the school preparing kids for high school application process?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Tobias is already reaching out to schools and we're scheduling is Mr. Tobias on? Are you on, Mr. Tobias?
She is not, but I am, you know, she reports
Yes,
to me.
I'm
each
here.
week.
I'm
Oh,
here
you
at
are?
the
Oh,
ISO.
hey.
Yes. So at the high school, hi guys. Thank you. The high school fair will be January 13th from 10 to 1. I have already reached out to all of our local high schools. It'll be a fair where they'll be able to just come in and talk to our students. I've created a student application form or Google where each 8th grader will be able to go into the form. They'll be able to give me 3 to 5 schools that they want to use to create what the schools that they want to attend. And then the schools will come in. They'll each school will have a booth in our multi-purpose room, and it'll be other resources available for the parents and the students, and they'll be able to go to each booth to pick a high school. I want all of our 28 of our 8th graders to put in the application to a high school to the great high schools in the area. So I've already developed the plan for that.
Thank you, Mr. Tobias. That's good.
That's great.
That's good. That's good. That's good. I've been asking for some stuff like that before and it didn't happen. But also just for the future as well, I want to see some of that stuff probably a little earlier as well, maybe from 7th grade as well. Just introducing the kids to the process and the parents as well.
Yes, it will be for
Part of it.
7th and yes, it'll be for 7th and 8th graders. The 8th graders will be the explorers, and the 7th graders will be the explorers, and the 8th graders will be the ones who are applying.
Sounds good. Anything else, Tiffany, Miss Tiffany or Mr.
No, I
Howard?
was gonna ask the board, did you all have any additional questions or comments? If not, that is our report.
Okay, so 250, okay.
Thank you.
Remember that.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Academic excellence. Melissa, do we have anything there? Can Melissa go to the other meeting?
Yeah, I mean, we had added this on if we want to do a committee report out. However, I think when we haven't had another meeting since our first one. We had some postponements. But I mean, for the team, we did meet and we talked about, I think one of our main focuses was just speaking about expeditionary learning and kind of where we are with the plan to this point. But beyond that, just kind of reviewed some of the data points, so to speak. But really, this would be a place too that for the board, the people on that committee, if they wanted to share any information there. But we have another meeting. We're trying to have another meeting here very soon. So I know the last one ended up getting canceled.
Yeah, I think it's next week. So.
We have one, yes, on, I believe, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Mr. Owens, please be on the lookout for an invite for that.
What day did you say this on?
I think it's January
On
7th.
Wednesday, the 7th, possibly.
Yeah, I think it's the 7th.
Do you know what time?
I don't have it right. I know it's, I want to say 2 or 2:30.
Okay, that'd be fine.
Thank you.
All right, moving to new business. Approval of a vendor for IT managed services.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. This is Sarita Dasri. I'm the Director of Technology in SIS. So I'm here to present about the agenda item for the approval of vendor selection for the IT managed services for HOPE from December through June 30th of next year. So to give you a little background, currently we don't have any vendor that is kind of supporting Hope for any of the technology or for the network management or device management services. We are using a vendor, AKA, but we are only using them like on a needed basis, but we don't have any contract with them. So based on the review that we did for the neighboring schools, we actually found a potential IT services partner. It's called Dynamic Network Solutions. And some of the other schools are using in-house, but Dynamic Network Solutions has been used by some of the neighboring schools. And I do recommend in going with them because their price is really competitive and they have been supporting schools, especially charter schools, for the last 10 to 15 years. And the monthly cost, including the support that they're going to provide for network management, network maintenance, network monitoring, device management support, the phone system maintenance and support, and also providing support to the school during testing time for Chromebooks. So the monthly charge that they were requesting is $2,199. And we also received another quote from AKA, which is costing around $3,190. And we have another vendor, it's NGen. This vendor is mostly used by commercial, and they're a little on the expensive side, and they're likely more than going to cost around like $25K for the package that they have sent us, but they did not provide us any quote. They only sent us a brochure. So based on that, that's the price information we came up with. And go ahead.
And AKA, they're not local, right?
No, they're not local. They're based out of Chicago, and Dynamic Solutions actually services Maryland, Washington, DC, and Florida, and they do have local offices within DC.
So I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to read everything through. So what do we get? So someone is on site for a few hours a week?
Yes. So with the code that they're providing, they will be on site for 4 hours a week. So it's like half a day per week.
Is it just help desk type assistance or is it other stuff?
Based on whatever the needs of the campus we have at that point. So if they need support with device management, so they're going to use that half day to do that support. But we also do have remote help desk. So the campus doesn't have to wait for somebody, an on-site technician, to help them and support. If they have a question that they need support, they do provide remote help desk support. So that's provided 5 days a week, Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Are there any other questions or comments on this?
Haritha, I just wanted to jump in really quick, and I know that you've worked with Eva, so just wanted to share with the board, what the source of funding will be for this, whether it's grant funded or operating budget, et cetera. So do you have that information?
So this will be paid out of the school budget. Let me pull that up.
Okay. And is this an added expense? Well, I mean, it's hard to know. I mean, I'm not asking you. I'm sorry. I know Eva would have that answer, so.
Yeah.
And you can, I think maybe we asked this already, but there won't be any duplication between AKA services and then the vendor that's selected here.
Yes, there will be no duplication because we don't have any contracted services with AKA right now. So there wouldn't be any duplication of services.
Right.
And also this is like a short-term solution. So, but we are going to have an RFP posted by March of next year. And we would select a vendor that provides services from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th for the next fiscal year. with two possible annual extensions. So,
And if I understood it correctly, we were using AKA sort of on a as needed basis.
yes, yes.
Like how much are we typically spending on that?
They cost, if they're on site for level 1, it's costing us like $95 an hour.
Oh, that's good.
And yeah, I think for the first few months since we were launching the school, it costed us around like $3,000 to $4,000 per month. I don't have the exact numbers, but I can get those numbers.
Yeah, I also remember some staff complaining that they weren't quite responsive to the needs of the school.
Yes.
So, okay.
I mean, I think just from a tech standpoint, this seems like an incredibly important thing to have, just knowing how important technology is to a lot of our programs, our testing. So
yes,
it makes sense to have some more steady support.
Yeah, I think we had brought it up in one of our finance committee meetings as well. Okay. And then this will be revisited next year, you said, for the next school year for a more long-term contract?
yes, yes. So this proposal is, we're only requesting it from December through June of next year. So we're requesting it for December since we can take advantage of the holidays, and then vendor can come on site and do a kind of like network assessment so that there is no kind of disturbance for any of the scholars or the teachers, because everybody will be out.
Okay.
And just wanted you to be aware that Eva is joining back, so she can answer some of those budget questions, which might be really helpful for the board. So she is jumping back in. Was there a page down there, Christina, that we can't see, or is this it for the IT proposal?
There's quotes.
Oh, there we go. Okay, budgetary considerations. Okay. And so we are seeking approval or a decision by the board on this recommendation, if the board is prepared to make a decision on this.
And Eva, you signed off on this? Eva, you signed off on this acquisition, right?
So
we
this
can
is
afford
the
it?
agreement, the 15,000. So yes, this is budgeted. We do have room for the IT management.
Okay, all right. Anissa or Sherry, you have any questions?
No,
I don't.
think if it,
Go ahead, Anissa, sorry.
I was also saying I don't have any questions.
Yeah, I don't. I agree with Allison's general comment that it sounds like a necessary service that we would want to use for our students.
Okay, all right. So let's put it to a vote. So we are, let me see, go back up. So we're voting to work to add a IT managed services vendor known as Dynamic Network Solutions for a period of what, 5 months or so? 5 months? December
7
to
months.
June. December 22 to June of 2023. And we plan on revisiting this idea for the next school year. Okay, all right, I'll make a motion to vote for the approval of a vendor selection of IT managed services, Dynamic Network Solutions for the period of December 2022 to June 2023. May I have a motion to approve?
This is Anissa. I move to approve the vendor selection of Dynamic Network Solutions for the period of December to June 30th, 2023.
I have someone second.
This is Sharif, I second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays or abstentions? Nope. So it's been approved to work with DNS for the time period stipulated on the board agenda.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll also like an update as well. If you're in a couple of months, just how they're doing and how the staff is responding to them as well.
Okay, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So new board members. So this is a work in progress. Eric, are you on the call? I don't see there's an iPhone number. It's Eric, but Lorraine is here. And Lorraine is a parent. She has a child here at Holt Tolson, and most of the board members have met with her already. Just a little background on Lorraine Oyatubo. She's the National Complex Care Manager for a primary care health company called One Medical. As a navigator, she's an expert at teaming with patients to deliver resources and improve access and adherence to the provider's care plans. Part-time, she's a human relations major at Trinity Washington University. And as a student parent fellow with Generation of Hope, she is working with the Trinity leadership team to assist in elevating the college experience for student parents. In her downtime, she loves astrology, caring for her beautiful son, and nurturing loving relationships with her friends and family. Simply put, she's a mindful humanitarian focused on human wellness. Had very engaging conversation with Lorraine and her enthusiasm to join the board as a parent member. And I'd like to put a vote today for Lorraine Oyatubo to join the board as the parent board member. May I have a motion to approve?
Hi, it's Sharifa. I move to approve the appointment of the new board member, Lorraine Oyatubo, to the Hope Board.
Thank you, Sherry. And may I have someone to second the vote?
This is Anissa. I second the vote.
Okay, thank you. And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any nays or abstentions? No. And it is approved. Welcome, Lorraine, to the team. We're very happy to have you join us. Do you want to say something quickly?
Yes, thank you. I definitely have been trying to join the community in Hope Tolson for some time now. So I'm really, really excited to be here. And I just want to echo, I think Tiffany was talking something about enrollment and one of the reasons the parents just weren't coming back. And I want to agree with her in that sense of it was really, people were scared, very nervous about the leadership. We just had no idea where things were going. We had, principal turnover. So all that to say, I am super, super excited. Mr. Owens, I've been reading your bio and looking you up. So super excited to see what you do for the school and how you impact their lives. So I'm here to help in whatever way. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine. And we're supposed to have another interested party, Eric Johnson, join us today, but I guess he couldn't make it, maybe because of work. So we'll try that another time, unless he joins later. And then next for the agenda is to vote for doing a new lease agreement with ESJ Partners, who's our current landlord. And we've talked about this a number of times. The board, we've done a closed meeting. They've met with the finance committee. And just want to put it on the table so we can start the process. ESJ is our current landlord, but we also have a you want to sorry, excuse me. I'll just make this quick. We want to pursue a new lease working with ESJ to explore some options, different options for financing, and enter into a larger portfolio purchase with them with various charter schools across 5 states. So I'd like to put forward a vote to explore a new lease agreement with ESJ, hopefully one that's favorable for us. Can I get a motion to approve moving forward with this process? Or do we have any questions before we even do that? We have a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve pursuing a new lease with ESJ Partners.
All right. I need a second.
This is Anissa. I second the motion.
Thank you, Anissa. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? No. And the vote to pursue a new lease agreement has been approved. That's one thing. Are there any old business? Christina?
We just have some other business, old business. I believe we tabled the, I'm sorry, let me start with the social media science learning experiences have been posted. That has been confirmed. If you all saw that. Engagement surveys, we're going to discuss that under other business, and then the dean will come in January and give an update. Nicholas, for now.
All right, sounds good. All right, keep it moving along. So the Best of Washington Awards, who's up with that?
Marketing looks like they have dropped off. So Melissa, are you able to speak to this for us, please? The Best of Washington Awards.
Is Bianca still on here? Because I would love her to be able to share.
Oh, Bianca, are you on? I see iPhone. She may still be on mute. I think that's her.
And if not, we were actually, I can share a bit. I just didn't want to steal her thunder. This is something, she's very excited about. We received an award, but I'm not sure about this photo opportunity piece, Sherry, and I apologize. But I think we actually shared our last meeting that we actually did receive an award for Best of Washington. But I'm not, and I apologize, I'm not sure about the photo op because I'm seeing that on the other piece.
Tiffany had mentioned she would like to get one just kind of scheduled.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Perfect.
Great.
So yeah,
Thank you,
something
Melissa.
definitely to market. Yes, definitely something to market for the school.
Yes.
And a very exciting award to receive, but yes.
Okay, all right. So, Mr. Tobias can follow up with us if anything else is needed. All right, and the engagement surveys, is that a marketing team thing as well?
It is something that was going to be sent or is going to be sent out to families and to determine the level of engagement with regard to enrollment for next year, marketing strategies, et cetera. So we look for that to be going out. My guess is first of the year. I mean, December is not a great time to try to get a lot of people to respond to surveys. So the intent is for the marketing team to get that out the beginning of January, and that will be shared with the board.
I'm sorry, this is staff and parents?
Yeah, staff and families regarding enrollment and different strategies that can be used for family engagement, parent engagement, community engagement, all ways to get engaged with the school, all pointing towards increasing enrollment and increasing parent and family involvement.
All right, sounds good. Okay. Okay, no problem. And at this point, I would like to open up the meeting to public comments. Is there anyone who'd like to make a public comment? No? Okay. So at this point, I would like to make a motion for us to end this portion of the meeting and move to a closed session. May I have a motion for that?
Motion to end this portion of the agenda and move into a closed session.
And can we, on that motion, can we please add for the purposes of personnel, contract, and legal? And or legal. Those are the three reasons to go into close. So we need to list those in our motion.
List all three, or is there a specific?
I would, no, I'd go ahead and list all three. Yep.
Okay. For legal, personnel, what was the third one?
Contractual.
Contract. Mhm.
The motion to go into closed session to discuss legal, personnel, and or contracting.
This is Anissa. I second the motion.
All right. All in favor is aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Nope. So we can move to closed session. Miss Christina, can you do that for us?
And Carrie, who would you like to have join closed session? We've got HR on, we have Melissa, myself, and Christina for notes. Just wondering who you'd like in and what information is needed. So, I mean, you don't have to say what information, but who you would like in to address the issues the board has.
Excuse me. Sherry, I'd like you to join Melissa and Miss
we have our
Loren,
HR staff.
HR,
Yeah.
and also Mr. Owens.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just to confirm, I have Allison, Anissa, Mr. Owens, Carrie, Laren, Melissa Morris, and Sherry. There. Sharifa, Sherry.
Two Sherrys.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Okay.
Can you move us, Christina?
Yes. Did you all get it?
Unmute. Okay, this is just us. Everyone, thank you for attending today's meeting. I would like to, we just came out of
Okay, let me
closed session.
go back to record really quick
Oh, okay.
so we can close out. Thank you. Hold on, where is it?
It says it's recording.
Oh, thank you. I'm like,
Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry, what am I saying? We're closing. We just came out of session, which is for the purposes of, to discuss contracts, legal and personnel issues. I'd like to take a motion now to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
We need a second.
This is Anissa. I second the motion to close the open session.
Great. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? No? That's a wrap. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
have a good
Good night,
evening.
everyone. Have a good evening.
Bye.